One more indictment that originated from the Trump-Russia probe came tumbling down the pike on Thursday, when a former White House counsel for President Obama was charged with lying to investigators about his foreign lobbying work for Ukraine. If that sounds familiar, it's because that's similar to what former Trump campaign head Paul Manafort was convicted of. But despite the similarities, the airtime dedicated to the indictment by the broadcast networks was grossly lopsided. On Thursday, the combined evening airtime allowed by ABC, CBS, and NBC for the indictment of former White House lawyer Greg Craig was 1 minute and 15 seconds. Both ABC's World News Tonight and CBS Evening News sprinted past the story with 16 and 17 seconds respectively. NBC Nightly News offered a little bit more time, 42 seconds, but it was still under a minute. With the collusion conspiracy on their minds, those same networks went into a feeding frenzy in late October 2017. Newsbusters previously documented that following the indictments of Paul Manafort and Deputy Chair Rick Gates, the evening programs of ABC, CBS, and NBC dedicated 33 minutes and 9 seconds on related news, while spending 22 minutes and 14 seconds on all other news for the day. Doing the math, that meant they spent 60%, 59.86%, of their total airtime on news sparked by the indictments. Breaking down their previous coverage even further, we see that ABC and CBS both spent 70% of their airtime to the developments, 69.6% and 71% respectively. NBC dragged the average down by dedicating only 39% of their airtime to Manafort-related news. Fast-forwarding back to Thursday, it's easy to see how they wanted to save face by at least touching on the Craig story. Tonight, a White House counsel from the Obama administration is now facing criminal charges that came out of the Mueller investigation, announced ABC anchor David Muir. A grand jury has now indicted Greg Craig for alleged violations of foreign lobbying laws for his work in Ukraine. Craig, in private practice since 2010, denies the charges. That was his entire news brief. The coverage on CBS was fairly similar, but NBC White House correspondent Kristen Welker added a detail the others didn't. He's accused of lying to federal officials about legal work he did with Paul Manafort for the Ukrainian government. Now Manafort was sentenced to more than 7 years in prison for lobbying violations and for financial crimes. None of them mentioned how Craig was also on the team that defended former President Bill Clinton from impeachment. But the disparity was still glaring. The transcript was below. Click expand to read. ABC's World News Tonight, April 11, 2019, 6:43 and 17 seconds p.m. Eastern, 16 seconds. David Muir. Tonight, a White House counsel from the Obama administration is now facing criminal charges that came out of the Mueller investigation. A grand jury has now indicted Greg Craig for alleged violations of foreign lobbying laws for his work in Ukraine. Craig, in private practice since 2010, denies the charges. CBS Evening News, April 11, 2019, 6:35 and 19 seconds p.m. Eastern, 17 seconds. Jeff Glor, former President Obama's first White House counsel, was indicted today in a case that grew out of the Mueller investigation. Greg Craig is charged with lying to the Justice Department about work he did in 2012 for Ukraine's Russian-backed government. A short time ago, Craig said the prosecution is unjustified. NBC Nightly News, April 11, 2019, 7:07 and 14 seconds p.m. Eastern, 42 seconds. Savannah Guthrie. Some breaking news tonight. A former top official in the Obama administration has been indicted as part of the Russia investigation. White House correspondent Kristen Welker joins us. And Kristen, this is after Mueller already wrapped up his work. Kristen Welker. Savannah, that's right. Greg Craig, former White House counsel to President Obama, is the first prominent Democrat to be charged in the Russia investigation. He's accused of lying to federal officials about legal work he did with Paul Manafort for the Ukrainian government. Now Manafort was sentenced to more than 7 years in prison for lobbying violations and for financial crimes. Tonight, Craig's legal team calling the charges misleading and saying it ignores evidence to the contrary. Savannah Guthrie. All right, Kristen Welker. At the White House. NB Daily Events Mueller Report, Foreign Policy Europe Ukraine Double Standards Political Groups Liberals and Democrats Political Scandals Trump Russia Probe Broadcast Television ABC World News Tonight CBS Evening News NBC Nightly News Video